for rest of Delhi, for the rest of India, it was almost like as if their children had been killed. In my research, I read newspapers from Chennai of the time. They were front page news. It was in the 70s. We'd just come out of the emergency. India was slightly sort of unstable at that point of time. It was as if this dark arc of Delhi and the dark arc of India had come. To me, Sanjay and Geeta Chopra's death and Birla and Ranga were just more than an episode. I treasure the Ramnath Goenka Sahithya Samman for a special reason.
Hi and welcome everyone. I'm Sonu M Kothari. Today we have with us a journalist, a historian and an author and Ramnath Goenka Sahithya Samman awardee, Mr. Sudeep Chakravarti, for his non-fiction, Fallen City, Double Murder, Political Insanity and Delhi's Descent from Grace. Welcome, sir. Congratulations on the award.
Thank you very much.
How do you feel?
I feel wonderful. I mean, it's a great honor. I mean, I have received other awards, but any award is a welcome recognition. I treasure the Ramnath Goenka Sahithya Samman for a special reason is that to receive an award which has Ramnath Goenka's name to it, attached to it, is as a former mainstream journalist, for me, it's very, very significant and very important. And I feel truly honored to have an honor with that name. I also absolutely love writing books. And the process of research, the process of formulating notes, the rigor that goes into it, the discipline that goes into it. And sometimes you have to shut the world around you away and just focus almost like a tunnel vision that until you finish the book, it's not over. And then once the book is done and it's out, you have no control over it because as a writer, then my job is done. And that I speak for any writer. And then you sort of let the book travel in the world. And I mean, with the education aspect of the New Indian Express, I will add that to any aspiring writers out there is that don't lose hope, don't lose heart, stay focused when you write. And the feeling of completing a short story or a book or an article is absolutely priceless. The joy that one gets and the relief that one gets.
So why did a rape and murder of 2 children in Delhi in the 70s catch your interest for a book?
For a number of reasons. When Geeta and Sanjay Chopra were murdered in 1978, and for us to even think back to the late 70s, a long time away, but I mean, their murders were so horrific. And they were the 2 people who were indicted for it and were executed for it have become bywords in villainy in India, Birla and Ranga. And in fact, Birla and Ranga are used as sort of descriptions of very evil people, even to this day. There have been movies made on Birla, Ranga. Villains are given names as Birla and Ranga. And people couldn't believe that it could happen to people like Geeta Chopra and Sanjay Chopra, whose father was a naval captain. And here I must be honest and upfront as a researcher and writer and say that, in our country, unfortunately, we have people meeting tragedies very frequently. But unfortunately, only when it happens to somebody like us, or what I would describe as people like us, when it hits urban India, urban centers in the very gut, it becomes visceral, then it's something that we can relate to. So what it did is that in the capital of India, their gruesome killing and the drama that attended the investigation and the judicial due process and their execution, which took 4 years, led to a situation where the entire capital was transfixed. You could say that Delhi came to a standstill for several weeks when the crime was discovered on 29th of August in 1978 and onwards. So it went to Parliament. Parliament came to a standstill. There were thousands and thousands of school children and college students in Delhi who came from all across town to gather at the boat club to protest against the deaths of these people and to demand safety and security for the children of Delhi, and they were actually speaking for the children of India. So the story of Geeta and Sanjay and the brutal murder and their aftermath had a tremendous resonance across India. In fact, I read in my research, I read newspapers from Chennai of the time. They were front page news. In fact, there was a rumor that Billa and Ranga had run away to Madras, as it was called then. It affected much more rest of Delhi for the rest of India. It was almost like as if their children had been killed. So it became a sort of a living room drama. It went up right to the Supreme Court. Parliament got involved. There were laws that became precedents because of them. It was a very gripping story. And that's what drew me in too, because I heard of them and they could have been me. They could have been any of us. So it drew me in many, many ways, this story.
On that note, what was the idea behind, connecting the social and political history of the time to the murder of?
Thank you for asking that. And that's a perceptive question. And that's really been my moment, if you will, because, I could have very easily done this book, approached it as a true crime reconstruction, right? But I did not want to cheapen the deaths or the moment. I did not want to sensationalize anything. And I was very glad that the citation had that aspect, that it seemed to me to be a story of a certain time and place in Delhi's life and in India's life. It was in the 70s. We'd just come out of the emergency. India was slightly sort of unstable at that point of time. We were looking for stability. And then this horror happened very quickly after you had Sanjay Gandhi's death, you had Operation Blue Star, you had the anti-Sikh riots. It was as if this dark arc of Delhi and the dark arc of India had come. So I wanted to locate this story within that time because it affected society, it affected politics, it affected law, it affected criminal jurisprudence, it affected legal matters. There was precedence that there was a presidential crisis because of this on account of legal processes in the Supreme Court. So to me, Sanjay and Geeta Chopra's death and Billa and Ranga were just more than an episode. It had far greater value. And I wanted to research that and set the killings in a larger socio-political context. So it just didn't become a true crime reconstruction. It also became a record of Delhi's time in that and India's time in that. And that is not a time in the late 70s and early 80s that we as chroniclers or researchers or writers or historians look at all the time. We tend to go past, don't look at these formative years of our journey as a country. And at that time, I lived in Delhi. I've lived in Delhi for 25 years. I no longer live in Delhi. Delhi and I have this love-hate relationship. And it was very important for me to sort of look at the book within that dynamic as well. So in many, many ways, it just all came together. And I had to approach the book. I wanted to approach the book as a larger story. I hope that answers your question.
So my question is, why did you want to tell the story now?
Telling a slice of life is not about that it needs to be told on a Wednesday or a Thursday or a Friday. Important moments in a country's time and trajectory. These are stories that can be told anytime. Why are we looking at ancient India in 2025 or 2026 now as we speak? Why are we looking at medieval India in 2026? So there's no timing as such. And what is very important to me is that if I'm able to tell that story, if I'm honest about telling the story and I'm genuine about telling the story, I think the story can be told at any time.
Interesting. Yes. So you also said that you were living in Delhi. So were you around when, the events were unfolding?
No. I was not in Delhi at that point of time. I was in a boarding school in Rajasthan at that time. And we were horrified because they were children like us. When I moved to Delhi, it's not long after, in the early 80s, I experienced Delhi in a way that I grew to love. And over living in Delhi for 25 years, I also grew to be very distressed about. Because, a capital has its own dynamic. And so I wasn't in Delhi when the crime happened. But let's say the crime never left me. In fact, during the course of researching the book, I actually retraced the step or the route that Geeta and Sanjay took before they were abducted and then murdered. And I walked and walked and walked through that. I sort of did a mind map of the whole crime and its aftermath. So I actually walked several hundred kilometers of Delhi just to follow, because for me it's important to do this because I need to get a sense memory of the time and place. You can spend months in an archive. I did. But there's much more. I needed to smell Delhi. I needed to see Delhi. I needed to smell its muck and its beautiful fragrance of the flowers in winter or monsoon. I mean, I had to carry through that mood, relive that time. Only then would I be able to tell the story. So to get a sense of the city I wasn't in Delhi, but doesn't matter. I mean, I can't let the damn place go, you know.
Yeah.
When I'm not in Delhi, I feel like going to Delhi. When I'm in Delhi, I can't wait to leave.
Correct.
So I've carried this sort of ambivalent. So I hate Delhi and I can't stand Delhi, and all at once. So I'm a bit schizophrenic about Delhi.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the title says descent from grace, like Delhi is descent from grace. So according to you, when did that start? Was it, this case or?
Well, thank you again, a perceptive question, because let me put it this way. A capital is by definition a very self-important place. It is the capital of a country. It carries with it a certain arrogance. It carries with it a certain character, that I am the capital. And Delhi's been a capital for a long time. It's been a capital of India since the British times in 1911 onwards. Before that, it was Calcutta. But before Calcutta was the imperial capital of British India, Delhi was the imperial capital of so many dynasties. I mean, if you begin from the mythological times, and then you come to the ancient times, and then you come to the medieval, early medieval, late medieval, and so on and so forth. And it's now been a capital of India, undivided and divided, since 1911. It's also witnessed a great deal of violence, because it's been a capital because someone has come and taken over the capital. I've always known Delhi as a very violent place. Let's not forget that partition came to Delhi as well. Let's not forget that there were riots in Delhi. Let's not forget that Geeta and Sanjay happened in Delhi. Let's not forget that the 1984 riots happened in Delhi. You would think that it wouldn't happen in India's capital. And subsequently, even up to the present day, there are explosions of violence, suppression, oppression in capital of India. Delhi is so beautiful from time to time, and it has its grace, but it also can be a very ugly place from a psychological perspective. And in these sort of when you lift the rock and you see the creepy crawlies under, you see that. And to me, this dignity that Delhi has as a capital began to dissipate from something. I would imagine that it happened long before Geeta and Sanjay's deaths. But for me, growing up at that point of time, it definitely felt to me that the deaths began that descent. And then it was accelerated with the events that I describe in the book over the next few years. So yes, Delhi has great ascent, and it has also witnessed great descent. So descent from grace, absolutely.
Okay. Once again, congratulations on the award. May I know what you're working on next?
Yes, a book set in Delhi, but also Agra, because my next book is a work of history, which is set in early medieval in medieval India, and it's a book about the early Mughals. So I have to go back to Delhi, but back in the 16th century and later, and also travel to Agra, because for several years, Agra was the imperial capital. So I hope it is received well. But I'm having a lot of fun researching and writing it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.